Remodeling Business Blueprint, episode 47, Setting Expectations to Set Immediate Credibility. Welcome to episode 47 of the Remodeling Business Blueprint podcast. My name is David Hawke, and I'm here with my partner, Randall Souls. How's it going, Randall?
It's going great today.
Perfect. Now, the Remodeling Business Blueprint podcast is for remodeling or trade contractors who want to build stronger, healthier businesses that are more trouble-free and take less time to manage. Today, we're going to take a look into conducting your first contact with your prospect, how to immediately build credibility and move yourself toward the sale. Now, this is a really exciting episode because it comes straight from the sales module of the Scientific Remodeling System, which contains everything needed to grow any remodeling or trade contracting business. And if you'd like to see more about that, you can check out the website, which is scientificremodelingsystem.com.
Yeah, David, one thing I want to emphasize before we get started on this, what we're going to do in this episode, we're going to give you a script, which is your first contact with the customer. Say the receptionist has made an appointment and said, okay, David, you need to call them and set up an appointment. So this is what David would say to them. And the objective is to set expectations.
Randall, while setting expectations, but let me ask you, because right now you've said, a secretary tells you you're supposed to call this person back. What if because I didn't have a secretary when I was remodeling, what if this person just calls me out of the blue and says, I'm looking to put an addition on my house? Would this script work for that too?
Absolutely. What this would do, say you call them and they say, we'd like you to come out. And then then basically that appointment has been set. And so now you're going to lay the ground rules. Very important. I am all about setting expectations and staying in control during the job all the way from start to finish. You have to stay in control. That doesn't mean you're being bad or anything, but if you're not in control, you can't control your business. So setting expectations before an event is much more effective and easier than attempting to accomplish the same thing on the fly.
Well, and the cool thing about this, obviously, I know what the script is, but the really cool thing is it builds immediate credibility. And by using a script like this, which Randall's going to read in just a minute, is really going to set you apart from anybody else. Because how many people do you think do anything? How many remodelers do you think have a script like this, Randall?
I would say probably 1 to 5%.
Yeah.
And they're successful.
They are successful. And so doing this, most of the time you're going to be the only one, and it really is going to give you a lot of credibility, and it's going to let you sell the job for higher margins because you have the credibility. So go ahead, Randall.
Yeah, if you come off as a professional right away and you give this person confidence, they're going to be much more willing to give you their money.
Definitely.
So I'm going to go on and read this, and then after we read it, Dave and I are going to analyze what this meant. Okay, right now it's just a straight reading. And so I'm calling Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm so excited about looking at your project next Tuesday. It sounds like a challenging one, and that's the kind I really enjoy. Let me spend a few minutes going over how our initial consultation will go so we can get the most out of our time together. I suggest that we follow this simple routine. I will spend about an hour at your home going over your project. The first thing I like to do, so I can answer a lot of your questions all at once, is to go over my presentation book with you. The presentation book will show you our licenses, contracts, and other forms such as change orders, so you'll know exactly what to expect as we get into the building phase. It's nothing complicated, and it'll just take a few minutes. I want you to see that we run our business in a very professional manner. Our contracts and forms are very easy to read and understand. The next thing I'd like to do, I want you to show me the project. Show me around your house so I can get a feel for it. Be sure to tell me all about your ideas and dreams as you show it to me. I want to know as much as possible about what you want this to look like and how you're going to use it. After I've looked at the project, we'll sit down and go over some of your details, sketches, and clippings. By then, I should have a pretty good idea what the project will cost, so I'll give you a rough ballpark of what you should expect a project like yours to cost. Keep in mind that the number or range of numbers that I'm going to quote you are just a ballpark. The purpose is to see if you are agreeable to this price range so that we can move on to the design phase. It's pretty obvious with all the details and material selections yet to be made, no one could possibly give you an accurate and reliable price at this stage. And yes, I will be able to give you a firm price for the design work right then. If you're agreeable with the rough estimate that I have quoted and the price of the design work, we'll move right into the design phase. After you sign our design agreement, I'll have our designer come out and measure your project and photograph any areas that might be affected by the work. She'll be at your home for about 4 hours, but you won't have to spend any time with her yet. Before we draw up your new design, we draw up what's called the as-built plan, meaning we draw your home exactly as it is now. You'll get both the new design and the original plan when we finish. That's about it. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not really. We do this every day, and I think you'll like how we go about giving you everything you want at the best possible price. Do you have any questions?
No.
Does this sound like a good plan to you?
Sounds like a great plan.
That's super. Then I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. at your home. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. You can reach me at my cell number and at my email, bob@abetterremodelingcompany.com. Don't hesitate to call me if you have any questions. Also, if you would email some pictures of the project area and maybe pictures you've taken of similar projects that you like, that would be great. That helps me start thinking about the project before I get there. See you Tuesday. Bye.
Very good. That's a fairly lengthy thing, Randall.
That is.
And I know this is this is something people pay you for to get that script, but is that something we could do a download on the website maybe if people want that?
Yeah, I can do that, David.
Okay. Good deal. I think, that, you did a few things with that script, Randall, not just setting the expectation or really setting yourself apart from anybody else these people have talked to, but you've talked about budget. So I think that's great that that's been brought up because money can be a difficult part of the sale. And how do you get budgets from people?
Yeah.
So you've let them know you're going to come in with something, and give them a ballpark so they know exactly how it works. Again, that expectation.
David, give us a summary of what this script says, and then we'll really break it down. We'll detail the analysis of this script.
Well, good idea. Quite a lot, really, because you just expressed that you're excited about their project, which is going to make them happy. You implied that their project is unique. You laid out the routine, stated how long you expect to be there, told them about the presentation book, which we have not talked about on the podcast yet, so let's cover that briefly in just a minute. But you told them what the next step is to look at the project, that you want to sit down with them and discuss the project, and like the timeline, so about an hour it's going to take. They know exactly what to expect. You gave them a disclaimer about the quote. You gave them a ballpark estimate, and you explained the next step is either design or estimate. And then you stated that the process is easy, so you're telling them, I'm going to take you through this. You don't have to worry. Finally, you told them how they can contact you, and then you closed by showing, again, interest in their project.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot in that little script there. But if you would, just kind of hit the high points of a presentation book so people know what you're talking about there.
We'll do an episode on that, but a presentation book is merely a series of pages with your contracts, insurance, and other things, your change orders, your design retainer agreement, all your contracts done in a generic way so you can show the customer what to expect. Again, show the customer what to expect. And so you do all that on this first meeting, and I tell you, every time I use that, people, they just, I guess they can't help it. They just say, that is so professional.
Right.
Because nobody else did it.
No, nobody else did that.
But we'll do a program on that, and we'll lay the whole thing out for them.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Because presentation book, I know I used one of those in I had a couple of times people said, you're showing me your license and your insurance? I mean, I had to ask everybody else for that. It really does set you apart, and it'll get you the job. And the nice thing is, because you're setting expectations and you're setting yourself apart, you've built credibility, you can charge more, and still get the job. You don't have to compete on price, because I don't know, competing on price that's a quick way to go out of business.
Yeah. So let's analyze this thing real quick. We don't want to run on too long, but on the first line, we start out, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'm so excited about looking at your project next Tuesday. It sounds like a challenging one, and that's the kind I really enjoy. So what are we saying here, David?
Well, you're showing genuine interest in their project. And you also say that you like challenging projects, which meaning that you can build it and that you're going to enjoy building the project for them. It's just not the status quo job that you're just going up to do to make some money. You just gave them a subtle compliment that their job isn't like everyone else's. So it's, again, kind of set them apart, made them feel good about themselves. Goes a long way to credibility again.
So you can see the impact of two sentences. There's a lot in there. Even though this is a long script, there is a lot in here. Okay, the next one, Dave.
The next one was, let me spend a few minutes going over how our initial consultation will go so we can get the most out of our time together. I suggest we follow this simple routine.
Yeah. Well, first, and this is important, you are asking their permission to present your plan to them, showing you're considerate and that you have a plan, you are organized.
You also make it a suggestion, so you're really not telling them what to do. You're not being pushy. And lastly, you just let them know that this thing's going to be simple. And people like simple. They don't want to think they're going to have to do a whole lot of work to get this done. They'd rather you did it.
All right. Then we said, I will spend about an hour at your home going over your project.
Yeah. The first thing you're telling them is how long you intend to stay in their house. Again, setting expectations. Time is money too, Randall. And even if it wasn't, you only have so much time, so you got to use it wisely.
Yeah. I always say, if you don't value your time, then others will feel free to waste it.
Definitely. We've both been there too, haven't we?
Yeah.
So the next part of that is you're telling them the first thing I'd like to do so I can answer a lot of your questions all at once is to go over my presentation book with you. This will show you our licenses, contracts, and other forms such as change orders, so you know exactly what to expect as we get into the building phase. It's nothing complicated, and it'll take just a few minutes. So I'm going to kind of explain what that's doing a little bit.
Well, now you've prepared them for the presentation. So when you get there, they know what's going to happen. They may have never heard or seen of one like yours, so it's important that they understand what it is and why they should listen to your presentation.
Perfect.
So the next thing was, I want you to see that we run our business in a very professional manner. Our contracts and forms are very easy to read and understand.
Yeah, so it's kind of like there's going to be no surprises there, right? You're
Right.
telling them, and later you're going to show them that you're not holding anything back. You know, transparency, especially in today's age, is extremely important. So you're showing them your contracts that they'll be signing, setting up any kind of expectancy that and also telling them that in a roundabout way, you're telling them that you expect them to sign a contract with you. And here are the change orders, a little bit of indoctrination into your company there, and the fact that there can be a change order if they make changes or if something changes with the job. And then closing with the fact that none of this is complicated. People get really tense when you start laying things out for them to do, especially if they aren't familiar with what you're asking them to do. So you use the words easy and simple very often, and this will really set them at ease.
Then next, I'd like you to show me your project and show me around the house so I can get a feel for it. Be sure to tell me all about your ideas and dreams as you show it to me. I want to know as much as possible about what you want this to look like and how you're going to use it.
Yeah, you're setting the agenda. Now that you're done with the presentation, it's their turn, and people like talking about themselves and what they want. You're showing an interest not only in the project, but in their dreams and expectations. So you really do want to know, and you need to know as much as possible about their dreams, their lifestyle, their physical aspects of the project in order to design it, price it, and sell it properly. And, you know, Randall, that really, in getting people to talk, and I've said so many times, communication is really the key to selling any project. I mean, if they feel like you understand them, you're going to get that job almost guaranteed. I mean, if they can go with you, they're going to do it. So it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the next part of that script, Randall?
After I've looked at the project, we'll sit down and go over some of your details, sketches, and clippings.
Yeah, so you're laying out the next step, right? You want them to sit down and learn more. And, you know, sitting down is going to help them relax. And they'll tell you some things that they may not have mentioned before. And notice that it's still their turn. So really, you know, this is your time to just sit down and listen, which they love.
Yeah, you want to, you know, one of the things about selling is you want people to get invested in you. You want them to spend some time on you. So you took some of their time, right? You showed the presentation, then you looked at the house, then you sit down and talk to me. I'm here for you. And now they're getting invested in this process.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so the next part of that is, by then I should have a pretty good idea of what the project will cost. So I'll give you a rough ballpark of what you can expect a project like yours to cost. Keep in mind that the number or range of numbers that I'm going to quote you is just a ballpark. The purpose is to see if you're agreeable to the price range so that we can move on to the design phase.
Okay, we're restating that the next phase is design.
Right.
That's if you have design work built into your company, and that you shouldn't expect anything more from me until you move to that phase. That's important.
Right.
They'd love to have you return to look at their second and third options or to review something another contractor suggested. Don't do it.
No, that can, it really just kind of muddies the waters and makes it kind of, well, it's just a more difficult sale.
Yeah, so all through this script, we've set the expectation that we expect them to go with our company. We expect them to sign. We expect them to sign a design agreement. We've been very subtle in saying, you're going to pay for this design.
Right.
And that's the first thing we're going to do. And we'll get into that a little further on.
Yeah, I think it's something we do need to talk about maybe in another episode, because just that, should people pay for a consult and should they pay for a design? And, I know there's a lot of talk in the industry, and some people say no, some people say yes. But who wouldn't like it if they can get paid to do it? So,
right.
Great thing. And so the next part is, it's pretty obvious with all the details and material selections yet to be made, no one could possibly give you an accurate and reliable price at this stage. So, kind of cover that, Randall.
Yeah, that's another really important piece of the puzzle. You don't ever want to leave this out. What do you think they really want to know? They want a number. They are all ears. They are just waiting for that number. Unfortunately, the number you quote them will be set in concrete. It is done. If you say 35,000, they will never be able to hear 45,000. It's just, you have to be aware of this, because it's a very sticky point later on. So you want to take them up with the swag, the scientific wild ass guess, and now you need
that's the technical term, right?
That's swag, yeah. And then you want to bring them back down a bit with a very clear and concise disclaimer. Don't make this the only time you tell them this. Believe me, repeat it several times at different stages in the selling and design process. And don't guess low. You are much better off guessing a little high than low. I know this goes against the salesperson in you, but in the long run, it's going to be a lot better.
Randall, something you said there is, don't guess low, because for one, you don't want to be the low contractor. And like you said, you're going to have to stick with that number. But if you're going to give a range of numbers, I think it's important too in how you give that range. So you can tell people, well, depending on the design, this could be a $60,000 remodel. It could be, a $50,000, or it may even be a $40,000. But go from high to low, because people tend to listen to that first number, and that's the one you're going to be stuck with. So, even if it makes you feel more comfortable to give multiple numbers, start out with the high one first.
Right. And David, over on your website, affluentcontractor.com, you did a series of videos, which I hope people will sign up for. But one of them, you talk about this, about getting that number from them. And and you work on, you give them several numbers, and they, you hope they bite on one of these. 10,000, 15, 20. And another way to do it is the range. Is a $20,000 to $25,000 bathroom in your range? They're much more likely to give you an answer if you give them some choices like we're talking about.
Right. And by doing that, they're giving you choices, because now you know where you need to be. We've built $47,000 bathrooms, and we've built $8,000 bathrooms. Both of them are bathrooms, but there's a whole lot of difference into what went into each one. So, as a contractor, you can do either one, but you got to figure out where they are and what they're comfortable with. And kind of watch them when you throw these numbers out, because you're going to get a little bit of an idea of, oh, wow, that was way higher than I thought. This is not as much as I thought. It's really eye-opening.
And we'll be talking about this more in future episodes, because it's a very important part that the price range to design your work in. So let's move on here. The next thing is, and yes, I will be able to give you a firm price for the design work right then.
So let me ask you, Randall, first, how do you do that? Because yes, I'll be able to give you a firm price. How are you figuring that in your head? Do you just know?
That's several factors there. One of them is experience. One of them is historical pricing. And the other is the feel for these people. Let me give you an example. I go to so-and-so's house, and they seem like a really good prospect, you know? They seem really good. I'm pretty sure I'm going to close this sale. I'm pretty sure they're okay with the design. So I might give them a better price on that, you know?
Yeah.
I might give them a better price on that because I'm going to make my money on the tail end.
Right.
Now, if I'm on the fence, I'm probably going to give them a medium price or a high price on the design.
Yeah.
If they're a repeat customer, I might give them a real good break because they are going to go with me. So
right.
That's the thing. But so be sure to answer this before they ask. You can give them a firm price for the design, or if you work on an hourly basis, you just tell them how much your rate is and how long a project usually takes to design.
Yeah, I think that's great. So the next part is, if you're agreeable with the rough estimate that I've quoted and the price for the design, we can move right into the design phase.
Yeah, as you lay out this procedure, they're starting to envision the process. So important. Envision the process. It is becoming more real to them as you explain it to them. So in their mind, they're either saying they intend to move on to the design phase, or they're telling themselves they don't plan to do that. So if they're excited about the project and they like you, then you're probably thinking they are going to listen to what you have to say, but that they already plan to use you anyway. That's when you've pre-sold them. They like you, they're excited, and they're anxious to move on. Don't oversell. When you've sold them, you don't need to sell anymore.
Right. And you're also, at this point, you're getting, well, you're going to get rid of any tire kickers right there.
Right.
Like you said, your time's important.
And
you're not going to have to waste a bunch of time estimating a project that you're not going to get because
we will be talking about that because I can't stand tire kickers. They waste my time.
Yeah.
So let me move on here just a little bit. After you sign our design agreement, not if you sign, be positive. Always be positive. Set up expectancy. Expect them to sign that. I'll have our designer come over and measure your project and photograph any area that might be affected by the work. She'll be at your home for about 4 hours, setting the agenda, right? The design agenda. But you won't have to spend any time with her yet.
What does that mean yet? That you won't have to spend any time with her yet? Why are you putting that in there?
Well, I'm putting that in there because I want them to feel free to go about their normal chores at home, right? They don't have to walk her around the house. But later, of course, they're going to sit down. Once she has the drawings, she's going to show them a proposal of a conceptual drawings. And that's why we say yet.
Right.
This is just the first design visit.
Yeah. And 4 hours can come off as kind of daunting. So
that's right. You got to set that up, but it takes that. Because when I do a bathroom, say a bathroom's on the second floor, I draw the whole house so I can know where the plumbing drops are and everything.
Right.
Very few people do that, but I like to have the whole as built so I can tell what walls line up and where the bearing walls are, etc.
Well, that kind of leads right into the next statement of the script is before we draw up your design, we draw up what's called the as-built plan, meaning we draw your home exactly as it is now. You'll get both the new design and the original plan when we finish.
Yeah, they're getting excited now because they're going to get plans for their home, their conceptual home, and as a bonus, they're going to get the original plans too, kind of like a souvenir of the past. And
right.
They are starting to salivate at this point.
They are. So then the script goes on. That's about it. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not really. We do this every day, and I think you'll like how we go about giving you everything you want to get the best value possible.
Why do you think I say that?
Well, there's a couple of things there, and there's that you're going to lead them through the process you're telling them. it's not going to be a strain on them. Again, that ease of use thing, that you're a pro and you do this all the time. So you're setting up more credibility. You know the best way to do this, and that you're always concerned with them getting the biggest bang for their buck. So, it's telling them you're a good person and you're going to give them value.
Yeah. And I'm quite sincere about that, because in order to get a job, you have to make the right profit, but you do have to massage your numbers until it's at a point where you can sell the project.
Well, I will tell you, Randall, I know I saw you sell a lot of jobs, and I saw you sell a lot of jobs for a lot more than I would have felt comfortable selling it for. So this thing does work, because a lot of times that number is just in your head. Whether you're going to sell it for 50,000 or 100,000, the number is just the sticking point is in your head. So using things like this, though, are going to make you feel more confident too, and be able to sell for more. And you'll really be surprised the first couple of times people say yes, and you think, "Wow, really?" Just don't say it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time, it takes experience. It would be hard to be a startup remodeling company and go out and sell a $110,000 kitchen.
Sure.
I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but you have to feel comfortable with yourself. And as you get older and more experienced, you start to be real comfortable with giving those numbers, and it bleeds off to the person you're talking to. They understand. If you're not confident, they're going to read that too, and they're going to go, "This guy feels really uncomfortable about quoting that price to me." So you got to feel comfortable.
Right. Yeah, they're going to read it. I mean, I remember my first job as a remodeling contractor was a $40 gutter repair. So, I mean, I started off way on the low end, but we wound up selling additions and really specialized in bath remodels. And we had some really expensive but beautiful bathrooms that we did. And so it's just kind of it's a process to get you there. But things like the Scientific Remodeling System will put you so far ahead of anybody else and into that growth curve that you'll be able to start out quicker.
Yeah.
If you are new.
Absolutely.
So let's get back into the rest of the script, Randall.
Yeah, we better wind this up. So
we're going on. The next part was, do you have any questions? And does this sound like a good plan to you? So I love these questions, by the way. They are critical. If you don't get anything else out of this, take these two questions. Do you have any questions? And does it sound like a good plan to you? And Randall, kind of explain why that's so important.
Oh, it's a very casual question, right? But it's really important. I mean, when they say yes, that sounds good. See, these are the little subtleties of selling. When they say yes, that sounds good, then your work is done. They just bought into every condition you laid out for them. They don't know it, but they bought into the presentation book, sitting down, how we're going to walk through the job, how we're going to design it, they're going to sign it, they're going to pay for it. And they just bought all that. And you did a super job at leading them down the right path. And it's really going to pay off.
Definitely. These are, like I said, if you don't get anything else, make sure you use those, because they sell jobs. So the next part is, great, then I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. at your home. So you're just kind of reiterating the appointment time and letting them know, too, that, again, you're very professional, when to expect you.
Yeah, that reiteration of appointment time is just a professional thing to do. You should do it in all your emails and all your speech. Well,
and the first time you talked about this, they probably didn't write it down. This time they're going to write it down, so you minimize your chance of no-shows that way too.
Yeah. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. You can reach me on my cell or my email. Don't hesitate to call me if you have any questions.
Mm-hmm. So you're just kind of letting them know that you're available for them, and that it is okay to call you if they have a question. And they may. I've had a lot of people call me after the fact. Oh, I forgot to tell you this.
Yeah, when they're spending $100,000, they have a right to call you.
Definitely. So the next part, and I love this one too, also, if you would email some pictures of the project area and maybe pictures you've taken of similar projects, that would be great. It helps me start thinking about the project before I get there.
And once again, you're showing an interest in them. You always have to do this, because who is the most important person in the world, per Earl Nightingale? It's the person you're talking to. That's
right. That is right.
They are the most important person in the world, and they are the only job in town.
Definitely. So the next part, see you Tuesday. Bye.
Yeah. So
there we go.
So you're starting to get the idea. I mean, why there is no competition if you do this right.
Right. And I've seen so many different remodelers that lowball prices to get in things, and this really, Hallie, it's just so good because you don't have to lowball anymore. You have no competition when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, I hope this helps everyone understand some of the ways. You revise this script, shorten it, lengthen it any way you need to, but these are the key points you need to cover. And the most important message David and I are conveying is set expectations. If you set expectations on the first contact, you are going to have a much smoother job. It's going to go better for both parties. And you're going to hear that from me from now on, because that's what I preach. Processes, expectations.
Right. And, Randall, using these things, I don't even have what my closing ratio was on projects, but I would venture to say it was upwards of 90% if I really wanted that job. I mean, there were some jobs I looked at that I didn't want. And, you can do things to get out of those if you don't want the job. But when I really wanted a job using these processes, I rarely lost one.
David, I think we better draw to a close here. We appreciate all you listeners.
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of our new season, right? We're starting off with the Remodeling Business Blueprint again. I am just so excited. We've got so much coming up in the future. Make sure you come back, check out the podcast. And over on remodelingbusinessblueprint.com, those 3 videos that Randall talked about, you can get those over there. It's a free little video course, less than 40 minutes, all 3 of the videos. And it really gives you some great tips on picking up new customers and, getting ready for the proposal and selling the proposal.
Right. And those videos are for newbies and experienced people.
Yeah, not everybody will need every video, but they're really just meant to be one-off things. You pick which part is best for you and go with it.
Yeah, if you get one good point out of any video, webinar, lecture, it's worthwhile.
Definitely. And if you want to go further, if you've liked this and you think you'd like some more, go check out scientificremodelingsystem.com. It's an amazing course.
So, David, how can they contact us?
They can contact us, Randall. If you've got any questions, just email us at feedback@remodelingbusinessblueprint.com.
Did I hear you right? Is it feedback@remodelingbusinessblueprint.com?
You did hear that right. I'm glad you were listening. Somebody's listening.
Okay. So, and also, if you have any comments, suggestions for future podcasts, we would appreciate those, and tell us how these scripts have helped you in your business. Until next week, David, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adios.